So this is in response to a question from Tonal Vibrancy. Wanted to know more about, approaches to mental attitude that I adopt and expanding on that sort of stuff, which I'm more than happy to do. There's so many ways you can break it down, and I'll try and do it in a way that sort of gives three takeaways, let's say, because I'm not going to be able to sort of explain the thrust of everything in a short video. So I'll try and keep it to three things. First off, the big thing that gets people, in my view, is the existentiality of composition, of buying music technology, of seeking to become a producer, right? So there's all sorts of mental challenges that happen in this process, from first having the inkling that you want to do something like this, then researching the gear, and then buying the gear and talking about the gear and playing it. And, there's all these different things that happen in ourselves existentially. And a lot of our attitude, I guess, comes from what our will is. Like, what is our need to create? Where is that coming from? Like, what is driving that? And I think when you see people that, what I say, what I call carts dragging the horse, that they get into it because they want to be successful, or they get into it because they want to be cool, or they get into it because it is a cool thing to do, and there's social currency attached to, developing your own work. And so people are seeking social currency. People are seeking fame. People are seeking money from it, So not to suggest that any of those things are in effect bad or anything not to want to go for. In my view, though, the choice of why you get into it determines your attitude. So if you have the self-awareness to be able to understand who you are and why you want to make something, you're going to be able to translate that meaning into machine language or into musical language easier, because you have an authentic place to start from. And that's a challenging thing to kind of find. But another way that we shape our attitude is, that's the first one. Let's call it number one. So that's your reason, your why. What is that why? And knowing that can shape your attitude. So if you can assess yourself and go, I'm getting into it for the wrong reasons, maybe I need to shift it up a bit and just have it be an expression of myself, then that might be more valuable. This is what I'm saying here too, and I don't have any of the answers for any of this shit. You've got to figure it out yourself. All I can do is show you techniques and give you encouragement to help you discover that. In my view, what makes the most interesting music or art is when it comes from a personal place, when it comes from somewhere that is genuine. And not to say that, a person who I create jingles for money. Like, I do music projects for clients that I charge money for, that I'm not emotionally involved in their thing anyway. So I can do that because I know that that's cart time, so I can apply the knowledge that I've used from developing over, a while, that knowledge into something that can earn money. So for me to do it that way, then that's one part of it, So anyway, that's sort of one thing, like having the understanding of the why determines your attitude, in my view. Second one is, there's this concept in, I guess, like, I've sort of come from a bit of a Buddhist background. Like, I've studied with a Buddhist teacher, and so a lot of the stuff that I talk about will have like a few parallels to other traditions. But there's one word that I love in Buddhism, which is called ardency. And ardency is the quality of mind when you've got strong presence of mind. You've got strong need to investigate. you have a good, healthy attitude, and having that healthy attitude can help you grind through some of the grindier bits. Like the MC707 is a grindy machine. Like it is a complicated machine when you go deeper into it, and it does need to have some grind to it. And one thing that helps you with grinding is ardency. So there is a quality. It's just I guess it's a sense of developing a form of self-energy, a self-motivation. We have to find that from somewhere. That's not just, I don't think that's naturally, some people have it more naturally than others, but it's something that we can develop ourselves, I think. How do we do that? Well, I mean, I guess part of it is the same as like when you do exercise, like when I have a session, I know, and I finish up knowing 2 or 3 more things. Like I'm like, okay, that's cool. My next session will be good too. So it's about developing the habits that allow you to come to something with an ardent mind. Now, it's not to suggest you can switch it on like a switch. Some days your mind is going to be a complete bastard and you can't do shit. So another big part of it is about developing the eye to see your own mood and your own nature and all of that kind of thing. I guess there is a third way of developing an attitude is to see, aim for a result. So even if the result is small, like knowing that you're on the path to achieving a result, right? So you're never going to be able to completely laterally see that sort of thing as it arrives. But as you do the work and do the training, learn your scales, whatever you want to learn, as you will learn these things, your attitude will shift because you have confidence, right? So it's about aiming for a result. So knowing like when you switch it on, you don't have to do this all the time. I never do this. I mean, if I did, I know some people struggle with this, like in terms of finishing shit. I know that if I do a session, I'll finish something. There'll be something that's presentable. But a lot of people struggle with the concept of like what's presentability, what's finished. So I think like if you break it down into little chunks, where you go, hey, I want to create a chord progression today, right? And if you just arrive at a thing where you go, it's 4 chords, and you think it sounds good, then that's a result. So I think we sort of want to leap before we can run, before we can walk, and that can be a bad attitude too. So it's about knowing like what are realistic results that you can achieve in a session, all that sort of stuff. So thanks for the question. I hope that answers it to some degree. I wasn't too rambly, about 8 minutes there. But yeah, keep the questions coming and I'll answer them.